Welcome back to another card making class project, this time for November. And we will be using this Nativity set that is currently available in the catalog. And you can have this as just a stamp set, which has a really nice selection. I don't know if you can see this, of stamps on here. And phrase a very nice Merry Christmas, Silent Holy Night, for unto us a child is born. Sorry, it's glaring so much I can't even read it myself. And then it also comes with matching dies. So these are the dies. And if you want the whole set, you can get it as Z8050, so Z8050, or you can look it up and it's just the stamp set available as well. I think the stamp set is actually, it's D2129. Okay, so while there are a whole different variety of uses of this set, and also techniques you can use, I decided to use one of our slimline cards for this project. And since I am preparing this for class, and many of you that order this and do the cards at home don't have all the inks and everything at home, so it's always kind of difficult to do techniques like inking your background. And if you have enough supplies at home and you have the set at home and you want to try this, so one of the great things you could do is if you use Distress Oxide inks and sponge your background in a dark blue, you know, like really dark and getting lighter in the middle, sprinkle a little bit of water drips on there to get some variations, or put some white paint on top as little stars. Perfect background. I have seen this where they actually cut the city and the palm trees and even the manger in like a almost black, so it looks more like a shadow really in the dark. And then just the manger itself, the inside, the figurines were colored in, stamped on white, so they really popped out. So there are many different ways of doing this card. Here in class I decided, so we're gonna use a star background because it's just simpler for everybody to work on. I also added a little bit of gold, and this is just gold glitter paper from Close to My Heart. And then we used I think this is champagne. It's an old color, but I had enough of that one on hand, so we used this one. And this one is ribbed, so you get this nice white edge. You can use a brush or a sponge and go over the edges and ink them up a little bit so they're a little bit darker. It's up to you, but I needed to leave it a little bit more simple because it takes time to assemble all this, and in class you're time limited. So if you want to and you have your set at home, you can still color these in. If you do them at home and you have your set and do your own, you can just cut them out of white cardstock and color them all in. I mean, there are so many different varieties, but I thought we keep it simple this time. So this is our card we're gonna do. On the inside, it's stamped Merry Christmas. This is also a set from previous Christmases. I have to check if it's still available, but I'm sure you have a Merry Christmas. This will work. And if you don't have something like this, there's a Merry Christmas on here, and you can add a couple more stars to make it a little bit more interesting. So because it is a small sentiment, or you combine it with the Silent Holy Night. And then I just did a couple of little leaf corner stamps in here just to make it pretty, and I might even put a little bit of a frame around this when we're done. So let's see. Okay, I put this one aside. Let's get started. So when you open your envelope, you have a whole bunch of different pieces in here, and for now we're just gonna sort them out a little bit. So let me move this around here. So this is a paper, and this is actually from a paper pack called Wonder. So this is the back side, but it has this really cool starry night type paper on one side design, so I really like that one. Then we have two strips. First we have our gold one, and then we have these two, which is a wider one and a shorter one. And then we have our little star, we have our little manger, and then we have our figurines, our palm tree, and our house. in the background. So make sure that your card is the right way around. And then we're gonna start adhering the starry paper first. I just use a liquid adhesive. You can use your tape runner, whatever you're comfortable with. This just goes easier. And then you will put it flush up with the top and with the sides, so it fits nicely right on top here. And we press it on. And there we go. Next is our gold strip, and the gold strip, again, just put a little bit of adhesive on here, and it butts up right with the edge of that blue paper. So if you want to, you can overlap it a little bit, but mine just butts up, so there you go. And then we take the two strips, and what I'm gonna do is I just take like a 1/4 inch and rip it towards me. And if you're not comfortable doing this, you can use a technique that I have showed in a previous video where you use some clear water in a brush, and you go down with your water brush and apply water, let it seep into the paper a little bit. Sometimes it takes a moment because it just sits on top, and then you just rip it. That way it goes way easier, and you can guide it a little bit better if you're not comfortable doing this by hand. So this one, same thing, about a 1/4 inch we take off here, and I'm just ripping it towards me. If you're left-handed, it's a good question. I don't know if you're left-handed, you have to either rip it away from you, or you can rip it towards you and then you just have to flip it over. You know, I'm not left-handed, but I'm gonna try it here, see? So, and then you just have to flip it over when you put it on there. Either or will work. You just have to rip it so you can see the edge. All right. And then quick, simple, and easy. So the next thing is we put this one on here. And depending on how much you took off, make sure that, you know, you don't see the end of that golden strip, that it covers it up a little bit, so overlaps a little bit, and you're good to go. If you have a little bit white showing down on the bottom, don't worry, because we have a second strip we're gonna put on there. But if you take about a 1/4 off, you should be good. So I'm gonna, mine lines up pretty good on the bottom. Like I said, if yours doesn't, that's fine. You just don't want to see the end here and see a white or something of your, where the gold paper ends. And then if there's a little edge down here, you're going to cover this up with a strip. So we're going to put this strip on here. And then our background is pretty much done. So now we have a scene here. Next thing, I'm gonna assemble the little manger. Okay, so this one is the backdrop. Then this one goes next, and then the roof goes on top. And I used foam dots. So if you have the little round ones from Close to My Heart, I used the thin ones. I still have some of these square ones here left, so I'm gonna use them. Because I'm always short of hours. I keep ordering them, but then I sell them in classes, and then I don't have some of my own sitting here. All right, this one also is raised, so while I'm at it, I just gonna do a couple here. Make sure it has nice even spaced. And the thin, when you're using the thin foam spacers, the nice thing is that it's not gonna get too bulky, even so you have maybe 2 layers on top. I mean, 2 layers equal 1 normal spacer that you get, you know, when you buy them at, I don't know, Joann's or Michael's. And these ones here are way thinner. Do I need more? I think we're good. Okay, so let's put on our little roof first. So don't forget to remove the little sticky parts here. You And then this one goes right on top. And I also have a video for you where I show you how I die cut these with the machine. I just have to do one more technique record, and then I will show this right after here. So check it out the way I normally do my cuttings with the die cutting machine. Some people always ask, so do you stamp them first and then die cut, or do you die cut first and then stamp? Well, in my case, I usually die cut first and then stamp, simply because I don't have that patience sometimes to line up the die over my stamped image, and then I have to make sure that I tape it down so it doesn't move on me. And I just like to go ahead and you know, stamp die cut it first, then stamp on top of it with the clear stamps. It's really easy to line up, so that's easier for me. All right, so what I did with the backdrop and the front, I moved my front a little bit further, so it really gives you the optical illusion that this sits further back. So make sure that your posts are a little bit further down from the backdrop. And now I'm not gonna, even so I removed everything, I'm just gonna lay this down here without pressing down, because I have to make sure that my pieces fit. So I have my one shepherd here, and then this can go here. So that should work. Okay, but I want to draw also put that little palm tree behind it. So let's put that one on first. A little bit adhesive, doesn't need a lot. And then we can lift this up and place this somewhere here. And then we put our little city up here, and this one is raised too. So a few little squares will help us with that. And I think I just cut one of them in half. And that is perfect when you have those non-stick scissors, because they really prevent any of these little pieces to stick to your scissors when you cut them, which makes it easy if you need a tiny little piece to support your image. All right, now let's put this one over here. And where you place them, it's up to you. I mean, you can swap sides. It's really not a big deal. Okay, now we're gonna put this one on first. And they stick together, but this will be loose in a second here. Okay, we just keep it here. How about here? Now I stick this one down, and then you can see this one sits on top. Okay, so Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, they are also raised. So we're gonna put a couple of the foams on here. And I usually don't put on a ton. I just don't want this to collapse too much. If you only put a few on the edges, you know, the center might be pushed down and then it just looks funky. So just add one or two in the middle. All right, and then we put these two right in between here. Like so. And these two are also raised. So let's put a few more. Use the other half up here. and then a few on this side. And a few on this side. Okay. And then all that is to it, position them. Like I said, you can change the way where you position them as you like. In this case, it makes sense because he's facing this way, so this one is praying this way. So if you swap the sides out, it doesn't really make sense. But depending on your space on your card and which card format you're choosing, you might have to change it a little bit, but that's up to you. Okay, we put him here. And then what is left is putting a little adhesive on our star and just placing the star somewhere up here in the sky. And that is it. So I got some adhesive oozing out here, but this is gonna dry clear. If you're very picky and you don't like that, just use a little needle or something pointy and you can wipe it off. But normally it's gonna dry clear and you won't even notice. But there you go. All right, and that is our stem, our card number 1 for November. As I said, you can just leave it as is, or if you feel like it, you can do maybe, I don't know, a few little squirrels here and there. If you feel like it, you don't have to. Maybe we do one little one here and one on this side. And as you can see, I use a regular pencil. You can use a marker. I just like pencils. If you're not sure how this is going to look like, if you like it, the pencil you can always erase. The markers are permanent, so that's the only backdraw. All right, there you have it. So this is card number 1. I hope you like this little excursion, and like I said, this awesome stamp set is one of the few ones we had in the last few years. I really like this. This is the old version a couple years ago we had, which was also great, but it is totally different. So I really like this set, and it is still available with the thin cuts. And if you use our slimline cards, they come with a matching envelope. And the nice thing is, price-wise, they're the same as your regular cards. Your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, not much more. It's the same price. So just a different format, and I think this works well with the Nativity Scene. So thank you for watching. Have a great day, and stay tuned for the die cut video, and then also for 3 more projects for this month's card class. Thanks. Bye-bye.